inthefountain.org to see how God is working through the fountain or to support us financially. If you have a prayer need, be sure to email prayer@inthefountain.org. We would love to partner with you in that, and enjoy today's message.
How many of you guys are excited about Future Family Week 5? Well, me too. And this morning, we're pretty excited because we're kind of changing up the format. Pastor John's been promising this for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And we have an opportunity with Pastors Jon and Gwen to not only spend some time talking to them about family and what the dynamic of family looks like, but we're also inviting all of their children to come and be a part of the conversation also. How many of you guys are nervous about that? Apparently Mom and Dad are nervous about it, and Pastor Mike is nervous about it. So if you don't know me, I'm Pastor Mike. I'm the associate on staff here, and what an awesome opportunity for us to spend time together. But let me go over a couple of things real quick. We've been driving home the point in this series, Future Family, which if you've missed it, you can go to the app or online, and you can check those out, catch up on the first 4 weeks. We've been driving home some specific things. First is this: God has an ideal for our family. Okay, everybody agree with that? All right, number 2 is there's a reality that we live in that's different sometimes, most of the time, than that ideal that God has for the family. Everybody good? And then finally, somewhere in between those, A and B, there's a tension. And so that's what we've been covering in this. And this week, we're excited to bring some perspective from our senior pastors and their kids to those things. And we want you guys to watch the trailer now because it looks a little bit different than it has. And really, you probably should pull your phones out and take pictures of the screens because Pastor Gwen has big hair. Big round of applause for those pictures. How many of you guys enjoyed that? A journey through time from their very first Christmas and all the way to now. So Pastors Jon and Gwen have joined me up here on the platform to talk about a way to do family, not the way to do family. Pastor Jon, you hammered that home the last couple of weeks, and so we want to make sure that everybody understands that. We're not trying to tell you that this is the perfect way to do it. It just gives you a snapshot of a way to do it.
I think you can tell by some of our clothing selections that it's not the way to do family.
I didn't want to say anything, but I
appreciate it. They're all thinking it. So
that's right. So tweet that if you need to, the Fountain PHX. All right, so just a couple of quick questions to kick things off. Pastors Jon and Gwen, how did your relationship begin? I don't know which one of you guys want to tackle that one. How did it begin?
How did it begin? We met at Red Lobster at 43rd Avenue in Bell, which ironically is like literally right across the street from our house. It's now empty. It's been a Chinese buffet and some other restaurants, but we met there at a mutual birthday party, a mutual friend of ours, and a buddy that I'd grown up playing music with, and I went to his birthday party. Little did I know that Gwen was going to church at the same church there. It was Lighthouse Assembly at that time. It's called Fresh Start now. And so I walk into this room, birthday party, and I see her. And I looked at my buddy. I was sitting next. I said, it wasn't him, but I leaned into my buddy. I said, "Who's the blonde?" And this is what he said to me. He said, "Oh, that's Gwen. She's not your type." So now, I don't know what she remembers about that night, but that's what stuck out to me. I introduced myself to her, but she was like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, I really wasn't into Jon at that time. I have to admit, he grew on me over the next couple years. You know, you just play these little games of, you know, I don't know what you call them, but they're just games. And so for 2 years, we just kind of played this game. I would see him at, you know, something, you know, I would be interested, and then he would give me a cold shoulder. And then the next time,
You reap what you sow.
They call that cat and mouse.
Yes. I was going to say that. I didn't know if that was really appropriate. But anyways, that happened for 2 years. And then all of a sudden, on New Year's Eve.
Going into 91.
Yes.
Yeah.
We came to a lock-in, a youth lock-in to celebrate. Yes. Yes. And for some reason, it just clicked.
We played footsies under the table. You know.
I don't know if we should mention that.
Yeah,
but
We don't endorse that here at the Fountain at youth events.
yes.
Yeah, but it happens.
It happens. It was just one of those times that finally it just kind of clicked, and we were like, okay, this is it. And we went out really with a couple who said that
We weren't meant for each other.
Yeah, weren't meant for each other. We went to dinner the next night.
Oh, let me tell you,
Okay.
I'll tell you, it's Richard Fink's sister and her
Yes.
husband. They said no.
We
this
don't
won't
hold
work.
anything
We
against
don't hold
Richard
any-
and Cindy for that, though. So
Yeah.
they weren't part of that whole shunning thing. But anyways, we ended up dating. And man, it was just, we just fell in love.
Our first date was January the 10th,
Yeah.
1991.
Yes, he remembers all of the dates. He claims he remembers what I wore the first time he saw me. I'm not.
She doesn't agree.
I don't agree with what he said. I don't think I wore
She's
that.
probably right, though.
But he remembers the dates. He
Yep.
is so good. He remembers all of the dates.
So we dated,
I don't.
and then we got engaged on September 24th of that year, and then we were married May 16th of 92 at Lighthouse over in Peoria. Yeah.
All right, so we're to wedding day.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, and we definitely have confirmed that you guys fell in love at a lock-in for
Yes.
youth.
Yes.
Okay,
It
awesome.
can happen.
It can
Just
happen.
saying.
Yes.
Attend your youth functions.
Go to your youth functions. Your
Yes.
spouse could be there.
Yes.
Even if you're 45, that's a little weird going to youth
Yes.
functions. But, all right, just throwing that out there. All right, so we're at a wedding day, and whichever one of you guys want to answer this one. When you walked down the aisle, what did future family look like to you?
You want to start, or you want me to start?
I'll start. I think for me.
Because you were the one that actually walked down the aisle. I was just standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you a really funny thing, though. I had planned this big surprise for Jon, that I went in and I recorded this song to sing to him. And
Cherish the Treasure by Steve Green.
there you go. And so it was this whole hush-hush that he had no clue I was doing it, and my father didn't know I was doing this. And so, you know, the door's supposed to open, and I'm supposed to come in. It was supposed to be awesome. Well, then this music started playing, and it was my voice singing to Jon. And I remember right before the music started, though, my father, who had a hold of my hand, said, I don't care how much money I've paid for this wedding. Tell me right now, and I'll run you out the back door.
And your dad's here.
And my
he
dad
works
is
on
here.
staff here at the Fountain, so big round of applause. So far we've got multiple people that have tried to defunct this marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to throw that out there.
So your expectations, I think that was the question.
Future
Sorry,
family.
my
Yeah.
expectations.
Future, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Expectations. I was young and naive.
But you were hot.
Thank you. And you know, I was so young, and you just have these. You just think you have all of the insight of how your life is going to be. And you know, I walked in, and I didn't want children. Sorry, kids. I really loved being, you know, fancy free, and I just kind of envisioned Jon and I were going to, you know, maybe children way down the road, but I just really did not want kids right away, and so I just went into this really with this naive thinking life was going to be perfect, that I was marrying the love of my life, and we were just going to have this awesome family. Jon was already an ordained minister at the time, so I really also went into it with these really preconceived ideas of what my life was going to be about and what our marriage was going to be about. And I felt like I was marrying somebody that I had to be perfect, that I had to like show the world that I had it all together, and that, you know, I couldn't let anybody in the church knew that I had any problems or anything. So we were just naive. We were young and naive.
I think for me, the expectations were because of what I had grown up in. I grew up in a ministry home, as you guys know, and you know, I had a model of what a pastor and pastor's wife was supposed to look like, and that's kind of the ideal. You know, we're going to be the ideal pastor's couple. You know, that's how we're going to view things. And I just want to dispel this right now. We've changed a lot of that over the years because I think, quickly, because we realized that just wasn't who we are. And I think, and no disrespect intended, but I think there is no other profession in the world where the spouse is identified by what her husband does other than ministry. It's not like you walk up to your friend and say, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend, the doctor's wife. It just doesn't happen that way. But ministries, for some reason, the way our culture is, has kind of set this apart as a pastor's wife. But I had those expectations, and they were unrealistic to begin with.
All right, so in a couple statements in there, you guys kind of alluded to that it wasn't necessarily what your perception of what future family was, and that there were some struggles in there. And so let's just jump right on to that, and just what were some of the conflicts you guys, conflicts, challenges that you guys had in the early years?
Me.
And all the ladies in the house said
no. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that there really are no marriage problems. There's you problems, and those two yous get married. And that's really what happened. I had a very, very bad anger problem in my life when we got married. And I'm not ashamed to admit that, because of Christ's victory, we've overcome that. But I had a very, very bad anger problem. I would snap, I would yell. Never got to the point of physical abuse, but it was headed in that direction. And I don't know to this day what the root of it was that caused me angry, but it reached a point after our oldest son was born where this anger was starting to manifest. And Kayla was born, and it got worse. And not because she was born, but
that was Chris that gave
yeah. And this is a part of our life that most people don't know, and we really wanted to lay this out there. In late 1994, shortly after our oldest daughter was born, because of my anger issues, Gwen packed up my two kids and came. We were living in Bakersfield at the time. She came back to Phoenix and moved in with her parents, and we separated.
If I can just add something really quick, people did not know that. I felt that I had to keep things so secret and so hidden. My parents didn't even know really the root of why me and Kayla and Chris were in their home. And at the time, Jon had just taken over a church.
Well, I was on staff. I didn't.
On staff, but
right.
we were planning on moving permanently back to Phoenix.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. To pastor a church, and I felt like I had to keep everything so hidden away. And I didn't know. Here we knew that we were going to get ready and possibly take over this church here in Phoenix. We had two small children, and I didn't even know if my marriage was going to make it. But I wanted to say something really, really to the man I married. It showed me at that moment who I really married. Because he owned what he needed to own. And he didn't throw the finger at me and say, Gwen, if you would just not push my buttons, or if you would just have your stuff together, I wouldn't have a problem. But he earnestly, when I took the kids, I began to watch my husband really transform by the power of Jesus Christ. And I began to see him turn into this godly man that I really didn't think he was, and I'm going to be honest. And but he owned it.
It's true, yeah.
He sought help. He got on his face before God, and he was desperate. He said, God, I'll do whatever it's going to take, but I'm not going to lose my wife and I'm not going to lose my children. And it's because of that. And I just want to say to the guys in the house today, it is because he owned what he needed to own and he manned up. I fell so much more in love with him, not because of his perfection, but because through his weakness, he showed that he was a godly man. And that in itself was a huge turning point in our marriage.
I mean, we also faced the other struggles of, raising kids young, and we were still young. She was 21 when we had Chris, and 22 when we had Kayla, so it was young. But one other struggle, I know we got to keep moving along here. We got a lot to cover. But when Gwen's mom died in 1995, and we had only been married just over 3 years at that point, and she went into a hardcore depression. And the signs of it were there earlier. But I mean, literally for over a year after that, I mean, I came home one afternoon, just to show you that I came home one afternoon. We were living over in Glendale, and I walked in. I got home that day, and Gwen had the car packed up, and I'm like, "You go on? Did you not tell me about a vacation you were taking?" And then she's like, "No, I'm out of here." And I was like, "Okay, hold on. Let's pull this back together." So we went back in the house, had an amazing conversation, and I felt the tension in her as she was going through her depression post her mother passing away. And this is the approach I took at that point, and that is, I decided not to berate her, not to make her feel any less than what she was, but I started praying. And at night, I did this for a solid year.
And I didn't know it.
I didn't do this every, when I say a solid year, I mean I did it throughout the year. I didn't do it every single night, but I would go in the kitchen, I'd get some oil, I would anoint her pillow, because when she's sleeping, she's just tossing and turning and occasionally punching me and all that. It's true. And so I would just anoint her pillow and not pray this, not go into deep, hardcore intercession, just like, Lord, I pray that you would set my wife free from this depression. On and on and on. And it took some time, but God delivered her from that. And so the word is, both spouses, listen to me. When your spouse is facing a struggle, the most powerful weapon you have is prayer.
Right.
Most powerful weapon you have.
Right. Thank you guys for being so transparent, and I hope you guys, the Fountain family, understand how vulnerable they're making themselves in this part of the series. And so thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. And all right, to shift gears a little bit, you alluded to it, Pastor John, that so you guys started having kids out of the gate.
Yes.
Even though you didn't want kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'd been married 5 months, and Gwen calls me up one day, and she said, "Guess what? I'm pregnant." And we're like, "Really?"
All right.
Yeah.
Good reaction. Probably earned some brownie points. So. With pregnancy comes, now as we introduce them to the platform, Chris is 22. He's a senior at Grand Canyon University. And Kayla, you are almost 21 years old, and she is a junior at Grand Canyon University. And so would you guys put your hands together and welcome them to the platform this morning?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great job there.
I feel so loved and wanted. Thank you guys so much.
I know. Chris, I almost scooted everybody over and put you guys on the other side of me.
I don't want to be up here with you.
All right, so welcome to the platform, the Wanted Children. And
they were wanted.
They were, yes.
Loved yes. Children. All right, so let's just jump right into it, okay? Chris, have you forgiven your mother?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. All right. Jumping right into it, Chris, I'm going to start with you if that's all right. A lot of people compare you to being the mini version of your father. All right. All right, so what do you think are some of the similarities that you share with your dad?
Oh, man. Immediately when I first heard this question, I thought of maybe the main similarity is that our temper is about as short as our stature. And if any of you have played church softball with either of us, you know that we are very competitive people.
Got the blues. Got. laughing.
And neither one of you play anymore.
Yeah.
No, we're both retired.
Both
Mom
retired.
told him they couldn't.
All right.
Yeah, with my age, it's getting to me. So,
Any other similarities?
I would definitely say sense of humor. Sense of humor is very similar.
Very dry.
Very dry. Yeah.
Very dry.
The driest.
Could be.
Yes. As dry as our scalps. That's another similarity.
I'm just curious, do you use Head and Shoulders too?
I don't. I
okay.
wash my hair only every 3 days.
Oh, God.
Which really helps. It helps. That's Jason Chavez. He knows.
It helps. It helps with the Last Samurai
It does.
haircut. And anything else?
I think there's a lot of things. I've gotten a lot from him. I would say work ethic would be one of them. Just passion for, I don't know, I guess being in God's will and, wanting to do the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Kayla. Hi, Kayla.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
You doing good? All right. So my question for you is this, to start things off, is so you were the only girl in the family for a season, and what was it like for you having 3 brothers?
I would say that if I ever have kids, which I'm planning on it, I hope that I have a lot of boys and 1 girl because it was awesome for me. I would say sometimes I was like, oh, I really want a sister and stuff like that. And of course I got one, which was awesome. But I think growing up with 3 brothers made me physically strong. I was able to defend myself. And and it also made me emotionally strong. I didn't really understand girl drama until I got into high school and junior high and stuff like that. And it was really like, whoa, this is how girls are. I just didn't even understand it. But it definitely made me emotionally strong, and it helped me through junior high and high school to be a little bit more level-headed and stuff like that. So I'm very thankful for it.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
I feel the love. All right. This is a question for both of you guys. So you both have grown up, obviously, in a ministry home. Thank you to Mom and Dad by no choice of your own. And no, I'm just playing. Just because God called your mom and dad into ministry at an early age, even before they were married, obviously. What are some positives and negatives to growing up in a ministry home, and some experiences that you have had as a result of those positives and negatives?
I'll talk about a positive, I guess, first. I think that it's taught us how to serve. This is like our second home. We've been here for 13 14 years.
Yeah.
So we were here, especially through the summers, we didn't have anywhere else to go. So we were roaming around here doing stuff, trying not to destroy the church, but, cleaning and putting chairs back together and doing all those little things. Yes, we were basically forced to, but now we can say that it's kind of birthed this servant attitude within us, and we're able to look at someone and be like, oh, they need some help, so we run over there, and we just have that inside of us because we've grown up that way, having to serve.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, that was good. You're welcome. One funny thing, so she said that we were pretty much forced to volunteer. We used to do an event when we did Vacation Bible School. We called it Vacation Bible Fun, VBF. And so we changed the acronym to stand for Volunteer by Force because we had no choice. We just had to be here. But I am thankful for it. It has definitely taught us a lot. Growing up in a ministry home, being pastor's kids, there's really kind of 2 ways that people turn out. And I think we all know how that is. You're either kind of crazy or you're really kind of straight and narrow. And one thing that I can really be thankful for is that I never felt that we were overly pressured to be unrealistically perfect. And we never had these just higher standards than everybody else. We were kids, we had room to make mistakes, and we had room to learn from those mistakes. And so I'm thankful for that. And I never felt that there was this unrealistic, just kind of crazy expectation put on us. And I think they did a really good job in that kind of aspect, because there's so many times when pastors' kids and whatnot, I don't know, can just turn out really crazy. And hopefully we haven't turned out that crazy, so yes.
Awesome. Okay, so Chris and Kayla, you guys were like 4 and 3, and Chad was born, and then a year later, surprise, surprise, then Chandler's born. All right, and they're getting ready to join us up here. Chad is 18 years old, and he's a senior at Cactus High School. Chandler is 17.
Cobras!
And a junior at Cactus High School. Did they both score touchdowns?
No, Chad had a touchdown and Chandler had an interception
Okay,
Friday
because
night.
Proud mama.
your tweet was just, oh, yeah.
Yeah, but if you would have read the rest
I didn't.
of it.
I did.
Of course not.
Sorry. 120 characters. So, all right, moving on. But you guys may be surprised to know that one of these two young men have a passion for Christmas and for Christmas music. And we want to show you guys a quick video as they go ahead and switch things around so that we can fire this up on the stage.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Man, it doesn't show signs of stopping. And I brought me some corn for pop.
What?
The lights are turned.
Killing some Christmas music already. How many days? How many days till Christmas?
103.
103. All right, 103 days until Christmas, because Chad told me that he has an app on his phone that keeps him up to date on that as we made it to the platform. All right, so Chad, first, if you could just tell me, why is it that you love Christmas so much?
Honestly, it truly is like the most wonderful time of the year. It's full of happiness and joy, and I just love that happiness in the air.
That's awesome. All right, Chandler, this is a impromptu question that's not in the list that you received earlier. Why don't you like Christmas?
I'm not the Christmas killer. I just don't think that Christmas music should be played that early.
Oh, okay, so it's Christmas music.
I don't like Christmas music before Christmas time.
Gotcha. All right, so.
Just a little tidbit. Kayla, I think last year, decided that she would write a song in honor of Chandler, and it was a song called Christmas Killer. And it was the most hilarious song that she ever wrote. It was very inspired, and so every Christmas now that song comes out. And
awesome. Will that be available on EP, this Christmas Eve service?
We might bring that out.
You can buy it on iTunes right now. We'll get it on the Fountain app, and you can download that and play it for all of your family and friends, and then invite them to the Fountain. All right. So, Chad, I'm gonna come back to you. All right. So, as a family, as a congregation, we don't see you up front as much as the rest of your siblings, and I want to just have you talk to us a little bit about how your family honors the personality differences between you guys, and just let us know how that all works and the dynamic of home, of church, of serving, even over in Fountain Kids and those areas.
Well, it hasn't been as difficult as you might have think, because my siblings and even my parents, they're so extroverted, and I'm such an introvert, but, my whole life, they've really embraced it and embraced who I am, and it's helped me grow in who I am and become an individual in Christ and stuff, and help me grow. And I found a way to serve, being myself, over in Fly Zone, over in Kids Church, and on Wednesday nights with the youth group. So it's been good. They've embraced me, and it's helped me grow.
Awesome. Kayla. All right, so before I ask Chandler anything, I've got a note here, and it's very specific. What was your reaction when Chandler was born?
I don't really remember how this went, but I do remember going into the room with my mom when we were finding out the gender, and I was hoping that it was a girl, because at that point I really, really wanted a sister. And they were like, it's a boy. And so I went in the hallway and cried.
Not enjoyed.
I was upset.
She did tell me at the hospital when she came in to see him, she said, big tears in her eyes, and Kayla had a very distinctive little high-pitched voice. And she said, really high, she said, I'm going to try not to be mad at God.
That's true.
And I'm sure the Lord appreciates that. Okay, so Chandler, to you. For a long time, you were the youngest sibling in the family. Can you please tell us about that experience? And I'm going to go ahead and throw in a note. If any of your siblings beat the tar out of you, let us know now.
Chris has before.
Okay. See, that confirmed all of our suspicions, right?
But now Chad and Chandler are both bigger than me. And so that's just God's way of like punishing me for how mean I was.
All right, Chandler, youngest in the family.
I guess it was just like every other little sibling. You know, you get picked on, you get made fun of, take advantage of you a lot. But no, it actually really helped me grow. They taught me a lot, and I would consider all three of them as mentors in my life, and they've helped me a lot with my faith and everything. So,
fantastic. Can we get a big awe in the room? Oh. All right, so this is for all four of the kids. Mom and Dad, if you feel like you need to pipe in to bring some clarity to any of this, that'd be great. I want to talk to you guys about conflict, because that's one of the things, you know, we're having a lot of fun up here, but we definitely want to make sure that we touch on some of the subjects from the Future Family series. We've talked a lot about conflict, and so I want to hear from you guys in no particular order. How the four of you guys have resolved conflict amongst yourselves, and more importantly, or as important, I should say, not more important, in other areas of your life, because we live in a culture, and I with all of my years in youth ministry, I saw this a lot, with teachers, with bosses, with friends, how did you guys not only resolve conflict amongst y'all, but how did you resolve conflict out in your marketplace, in your setting?
Well, I would say that we never really needed to resolve conflict because we were so well behaved.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man.
We're just going to go ahead and open the altars right now for prayer.
Can we call for the elders of the church?
Spirit of lying.
Yeah, that was a lie. So I think when we were younger, we didn't really know how to resolve conflict, and it resulted in us fighting over everything. Me being the older brother, I beat up Chad and Chandler very often, sometimes Kayla. When you got older, though, I mean, I respected that you were a girl. I did. I think as we've gotten older, I think it is pretty cool that we're all friends now and we all enjoy hanging out. One thing that we do to resolve conflict would be probably just talk about it and be adults about it now. We're growing up.
Now is the key word.
Now.
Here it is. I think it's a hard conversation to have because we were not very good at resolving conflict.
Lift your hand up. Raise your hand up. There you go. Like that. Sure.
Yeah, we weren't really good at resolving conflict. It resulted in us being kind of normal kids. You know, I think that's just something that you learn like as you get older and you learn how to deal with each other. I guess how it has the good thing about growing up with a lot of siblings and now Charity as well is that we know how to work with other people. And so we know that sometimes if Chandler has a toy that I want to play with or whatever, sometimes I got to let him play with the toy. You know, now we don't really have many arguments over which toys we're playing with, but the idea is the same. You know, you learn how to compromise with people, you learn how to work with people, and that's one thing I guess we've all kind of benefited from growing up in a bigger family.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would say that we were forced to resolve conflict in the earlier years of our lives because we didn't really care about resolving conflict. I mean, my personality, I'm a super big people pleaser, and that even showed when I would offend one of my brothers. At first I was like, oh yeah, I'm cool for, saying what I said. But then a couple minutes later I'd be like, oh shoot, I really made them angry, and I would want to resolve it. But our parents they'd force us to resolve the conflict by either making us stay in a room together for like 15 minutes and talk about it, or glare at each other, or hold hands. I'm just kidding. We did it a couple times. We were forced to hold hands. But me, I mean, I'm struggling with this right now. I am so awful at resolving conflict. I am probably the worst out of all of these guys. I absolutely hate conflict. So it's interesting that you brought that up, because I'm working on that right now and how to go about it in a healthy way. And I think that being forced to resolve conflicts in the earlier years of my life has helped me understand that it is important, and there is a reason why there needs to be conflict and it needs to be resolved instead of stuffing everything inside. So it's been helpful.
I think too, as Jon and I as parents, conflict is never easy, and you're always going to have conflicts because you're going to be with somebody that's not you. So conflict is always going to be there. But as parents, I wanted to empower my kids to know how to deal with it. So I never wanted to be the type of mom who, especially when they got into junior high, and they would come home and tell us something about a teacher, or they were having a problem at school. I never wanted to be the parent that showed up to school and instantly just stepped in to solve it for them. And I would tell them, I would give them pointers, and then Jon and I would say, hey, we're here. If you need us, we will step in. But we want you to know that you have a voice and you're empowered to use it. So that was really big for us. And I don't know if we probably didn't succeed because Kayla still struggles with that. But I think...
Hey, 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah.
But to that point, I mean, and this, I feel like I want to say this to the parents out there. I mean, this has worked for us. We were really big on empowering our kids. We want them to take ownership of their life in a lot of different ways. And we're going to talk about faith in a minute. But really, for us, it was about, step up and do something. It drives me nuts when I see parents that want to do everything for their kids. You're handicapping them when you do that, in my opinion. I mean, again, this is a way, not the way. But I think it's really important, especially when they get older. I mean, obviously you have to do for them when they're young, but as they get older, start weaning them off. Let them learn how to handle situations and learn how to handle conflict. You're always going to be there. But we've tried to do that. So hopefully it's been successful.
So Pastor Jon just or in your case, your dad just made mention of it. So let's jump to that.
My kids don't call me Pastor Jon.
It's Father John.
Father John. Let me give you some on that one. That was good. It was quick. It was good. It was right there, right on point. But you got to say it with that tone, right?
All the Catholics in the room are like, yeah.
With that tone, though, it has to be deep and...
Father John.
Yeah, see? That's it. All right, so everybody greet Pastor Jon after service today.
Papa John.
Okay. All right. There's some licensing infringement there. All right. How have your parents empowered you guys in your faith, to have your own faith? Chad's like, I'm not talking.
Honest to go? How have they empowered us?
Empowered you.
I think that they have just... I'm trying to think of something to say. They've really gave us room to experience and try and figure out, I guess, our faith on our own. And experience things on our own. I mean, when we grew up, we experienced a lot. And I don't know, I felt as the older as we got, the more they let us be on our own and experience and figure this out for ourselves. So.
Right. Yeah, I would say a big thing that they let us do was ask questions. Ask really tough questions like, God, why is there evil in the world? Stuff like that. That was very kind of important when I started asking a lot of those questions when I was in high school and whatnot. They didn't shy away and be like, oh, don't doubt your faith, how dare you? They were realistic. People struggle with this stuff, and they allowed us to kind of figure things out and, ask God these questions, go to people like them, go to people smarter than them that knows the answer to these questions. That wasn't a slam on you guys.
I don't have all the answers.
That's really good. It's really good. And one thing that I know, and something that we've even modeled in our home, stealing it from the Jennings, is, and I'm just going to throw this out there because I know it's one thing that we want to make mention of, just so the congregation knows it, is your parents gave you permission that if you wanted to go to church somewhere else, you could.
That's risky when you're the pastor, trust me.
and hopefully nobody thinks less of that. And you guys obviously haven't.
Well, can I jump in on that? Because
yeah, please.
I want to bring some context to that, because this was the point that we got to where our kids knowing Christ is the first and most important thing for us. Yeah. Yeah. We want them to know Christ. And if it's not happening in this context, then they need to find a context where they can connect and where they can grow. And so it was a calculated risk. I'm glad that they all chose to stay. Trust me. And I think it speaks to you as a congregation that, you guys have joined with us. And there's so many of you that have spoken into the lives of our kids over the years. I could start naming names, but there's dozens of you in this room that have impacted our children and helped on their journey. But we just really believed it was important. That faith for them is that important that if they're not growing in Christ here, we were willing to put them in situations where they were going to grow.
And I think, too, another thing that's that we've tried to model is that my background is really perfectionism. And thinking that my walk, I have to work super, super hard to gain God's approval. And when God freed me from that, I never wanted to put my kids in that type of that they have to, it's by their works that they are saved. And the hardest thing, I think, for me as a mom, because, as moms, we want our kids safe. Let's just be real. We want our kids making good choices. We want them to, have an encounter with Jesus Christ. We want that for our children. And when I went to my kids, and I think it was really Chris, our oldest, and gave him permission, I give you permission to fail. That's a really risky thing to say. But I want my kids to know that it's okay, because if we never fail, we never need the cross. Right. We never know that, or we are not in need of a Savior if we don't need a Savior to save us. Right. And so in the boundaries of the family where there's protection, I want my home to be a home where they can come to in its protection. Yeah. So that when they have encountered life, when they have made choices that maybe is not a choice that I would have for them, I want them to always know they can come. And they can always, and we're going to go to the cross together. Yeah. So yeah. I think that kind of goes.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Thanks for bringing some context to both of those. And all right, so now moving along. In 2006, family changed dramatically, radically, and excitedly.
Yes.
As you guys adopted Charity. And so not to be left out of the conversation, would you guys put your hands together as Charity makes her way to the platform in a beautiful dress this morning. Okay, Jon and Gwen. Chandler was 8, and you guys already had 4 kids. What on earth possessed you to make the decision to adopt?
When you look into these eyes, how could you do anything different? I'll be brief. We're really slipping away on time here. But it was something that God spoke to us to do. That's the only way I know how to describe it. First, it was Gwen. She came to me with this idea. She said, I really think that we need to adopt a baby from Ethiopia. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And literally, that's what I said. I'm like, our kids, because remember I talked about doing for themselves? You know how it is when you're at that point where they can bathe themselves, they can get their own food. There's no bottles, there's no diapers. It's it's all good. And and then I'm like, do I want to go back to that stage again? No. But I told Gwen, I said, I'll pray through this, and I did for 3 months. And finally, God just confirmed it in my spirit that we needed to do this, and that was the most incredible journey for us was going through this process. We learned more about the heart of God through this process of adopting this amazing girl than I had ever known in my entire life, and understood what the adoptive heart of the Father is.
Thank you, Pastor Jon. Now to the most important person on the platform, Charity. I've been waiting for this all day. All right. You ready? You got your own microphone. No one can restrain you. You feel free to speak, honey. What's the hardest thing about being the youngest in a huge family, and what's the best thing about it? So let's start with what's the hardest thing for you being the youngest?
I always get picked on the most, and...
Okay, let's stop there. Who picks on you the most?
Chandler.
Okay, thank you. So the bullying gene has moved from Chris to Chandler, if we've got our flow chart right. Okay, keep going. Another hard thing?
And that my siblings get to go more places than me.
So you just feel like they get to go places? Where would you like to go?
Well, shopping with them, but
Okay.
sometimes they do.
Okay, sometimes they do take you? Awesome, awesome. So if anybody would like to take Charity out for a shopping date, she's available. She'll have a sign-up sheet at the connection point after service. Right? Does that work for you? I'm just trying to get you some stuff today. All right, so what's one of the best things about being the youngest in the family?
I get most of the attention sometimes, and sometimes I fake fall asleep on the couch so my dad will carry me to my room.
And I know you're not asleep, but I
That's awesome, because that'd be weird if Chad did that. Fake fell asleep on the couch so Dad could carry him to his room. So, anything else? Best parts?
I don't know.
Nothing right now? Well, you can interject at any time if you think of anything else. Okay. Real quick, though, so I need it rapid fire. So we'll go Chris, Kayla, Chad, Chandler, okay? Just how they're seated. So, what's your favorite thing about each of them?
Well, I like that Chris makes me laugh.
Chris makes you laugh. Kayla?
She takes me shopping with her.
Kayla takes you shopping. Chad? If we had a cricket sound effect right now, that would have been awesome.
He watches movies with me.
He watches movies with you. And Chandler, the one who picks on you.
I think that Chandler, well... Oh, I get to go in his room.
You get to go hang out in his room, and if you've never seen the boys' room, it's crazy huge and got a lot of cool stuff in there. So, all right, to all you guys, now all 5 of the kids, let's talk a little bit about sibling rivalry for a minute. Obviously, there's...
For a minute?
Yeah, you got a minute up there. No, I'm just joking. But it's not always a love fest, obviously, at home. And through the summers, everybody is back at home a lot of times. And so all 5 of you guys are around. Can you guys just real quick, and just a couple, 3 of you, give us a quick snapshot of what it's like getting along, all 5 of you together, the dynamic there. Anybody want that?
All right. Can you repeat the question, please?
Obviously, it's not always a love fest, so you guys don't like each other all the time.
Nope.
All right, good. All right. Can you tell us what it looks like sometimes when you guys are just trying to make it through that frustration, I guess would be the best way to, that conflict. But it doesn't always, conflict for me always means like it's like, because sometimes frustration is just, Charity doesn't pick up her toys. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know. Sorry,
Well,
Charity, I'm not throwing you under the bus. But
the good thing now is that most of us drive, so if we're really that annoyed, we can just leave. It is a lot of fun, though. Me and Kayla don't live at home, and so it's fun to come back over the summer. I live on campus at GCU, so over the summer and winter break and stuff, I come home. And it's fun. I think it's fun now because I'm not there all the time. But as far as sibling rivalry, when I was there a lot, man, I don't know. I think we would just kind of try to avoid each other as much as possible if we were that annoyed. But then again, like, I am a classic instigator, so if I see Chandler getting annoyed with Chad or getting annoyed with me, I just kind of egg him on because it's funny for me. So I'm sorry.
You have always been the instigator.
I have.
Always.
I can't help it. That's just what I got from you.
No,
all right.
Goes full circle, coming back to the first question.
Hey, the good thing is we can edit that back in at the beginning question of
Yes,
similarities.
we'll do that.
So
I don't know how many times on family trips that you got threatened to get left somewhere on the side of the road. And
There's one time in particular, I have a story. I'll make it quick because I know we're running.
You're good.
Okay, it was Chad's birthday.
Are you
one
guys
year.
all
He was
okay?
probably like 14.
All right, okay.
He was probably like 14 or something like that, and I was giving him birthday punches in our minivan. Okay. And he was getting really annoyed with me. My mom was yelling at me to stop, but I wasn't stopping because I was a stupid kid. And she literally pulled the car over in a parking lot and told me to get out of the car. And I was like, fine, I'll walk home. And made this big scene. And then she obviously didn't make me drive or walk all the way home. She gave in to
So you didn't have to walk home?
No, she gave in to my cute face.
Go ahead.
Or because you were in Tempe.
Charity wants to chime
Okay,
in.
Charity, what you got?
It's really funny because when Kayla gets mad, she goes, "Arr." It's really...
Can you do that again for us? Okay, good. That's when Kayla
You
gets
do
mad.
grunt a lot when you're angry. It's really funny. It's like you're back like being a toddler.
But wait, didn't you guys always say, though, that Chad had the longest fuse?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
but
Chad
when it
had the
goes
longest
off-
fuse, but once it went off,
It's bad.
you better get out of his way. Let me just tell you.
What was your nickname that the kids called
We
you?
called Chad Rampage.
You called him what?
Rampage.
Rampage.
And
Okay.
of course, we would purposely make him angry so we could see him freak
All
out.
right, cool.
I thought you nicknamed him Pacha from
Yeah.
Emperor's New Groove.
If anybody's seen Emperor's New Groove, his sidekick is named Pacha. And so I started calling Chad that when he was really chubby back in the day. And now he's slimmed out and can probably beat me up, honestly.
All right.
Okay, Pacha.
All right, so let's go ahead and start bringing this to a wrap. Thank you guys so much for being candid with us today. And we've been looking at the idea of future family. And we understand that, Pastors Jon and Gwen, that you are in the midst of helping your daughter Kayla plan a wedding. Yeah? Yeah? Big round of applause there. So, I would like to introduce and bring to the stage their future son-in-law, Kayla's future husband, Mr. Drew Hoskin. Where you at? I don't even know if he knew that we were bringing him up. Oh, he did?
Yes,
Okay,
I
good.
only got him up here with the understanding that he doesn't have to say anything.
I know, I have a note in here. No questions will be asked to Drew. So, Drew, I can't say anything to you, but welcome to the platform. All right, so, final question. What does future family look like for the Jennings?
Oh, mercy. I think you're seeing what it looks like for us. I mean, really, this is really important for us. And I'll be honest, with the idea of Kayla getting married has been a struggle for me. Just as a dad. I mean, all the dads in the room probably get it. And I'll tell you what, honestly, in the last week or so, something shifted inside of me. And I realized, and it was when I first saw their first graduation, their first engagement picture. And I looked at that, and all of a sudden, something inside of me says, I can't wait for this next season of our life. We've always tried to grow with our family and not keep our kids locked into being little or not keep them locked into being, pre-adolescent or teenagers. We've enjoyed every single stage of life. We're enjoying now the college years with Chris and Kayla and the late high school years. And yes, we're getting ready to get involved with elementary school boosters again. God help us. So, it's like we've enjoyed this. And I'm looking forward to being a father-in-law, and I'm looking forward to being a grandparent. I just really am excited about growing with the family because I'm going to be the youngest looking grandpa out there. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome, awesome. Would you guys give them a huge round of applause this morning?
Did any of you guys want to say anything more about what the future looks like, or did?
I would say
Hello.
For me, I would just like to say that I don't know what it looks like at all. And I think it's...
But you are getting married, right?
Well, yes.
Okay, thank God.
But
Drew's like, I can't talk, but
normally my personality is to control and to picture the future so much to the point where I'm trying to control that image that I created in my own head. And so for me, it's nice to just say, I don't know what's going to happen and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm excited and ready to see what the future holds. And I know that we've set a good foundation for, the future, and it's going to be awesome. But it's kind of nice to say, I don't know. I don't know what the future looks like.
Whatever it is, we're going to embrace it.
Right.
And manage the tension.
And manage the tension, which you guys have done fantastic at. Again, if you guys would stand up with me this morning, go ahead and put your hands together again.